So got my list. This time I'm hoping you'll be able to hear me okay. Slightly better setup for audio and video than I've done when I did my TAT packing list. This is the packing list for the BDR. So I just came back a week ago from the MA BDR. And I've set stuff back up roughly like what it was last weekend. So I'm going to go through everything. Got my list here, it's going to a few pages. It's going to be instructional, we'll say. So this is Mosko Moto Reckless 80, and without the bags, but with the full pouches, bear spray, which I don't have here at the moment, and 2 litre bags full of water. We've got a total of 28 pounds. The total for the three tank panniers is 5.6 pounds, and I've got a tool tube back here which I might show when I flip the bike around magically. It's got oil or chain lube and a few other bits and pieces in there as well. One thing I should know that I didn't bring that I should have brought was shower shoes for the campsites. So first on the list is navigational electronics. So I've got a DeLorme InReach that's in my Mammoth bag, which I don't have on screen. The Montana, and there's I have a little charge cable associated with that as well, just in case. And that's tethered to the bike here. I don't know if you can see that. I've got my iPhone that sits up here, an iPhone 10, and the charge cable, which is cable tied onto the handlebars here so it can't come off. There's also just a spare cable tie there as well. I've got a Senna on my helmet at 30k, and a spare, and not a spare, we had 4 of them between 3 of us, but one of mine stopped working and I need to call Senna about that. Also got an Anchor charger which sits in this pocket here. It's a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and a cable associated with that. I've got a GoPro on my helmet and a cable for that, and then the cards, the memory cards for the GoPro, I've got a little plastic case that they slide into so I won't really use them. So I've actually got additional spots for where all these things are located. So that was just, I've got it broken up into sections. So that was navigation electronics. Then the tool tube back here. I won't show you that when I flip the bike around. I've got, it actually comes with a little zippered bag in it, and inside there is chain lube, blue latex gloves, some tissues, and some tire lube should I get a flat tire. The right tank pannier. So this is a change from my setup from the TAT, and not a change that I wanted to do, but because I had to do, got a flat earlier this year, and I took out the ultra heavy duty tube that was in the tire, repaired it, and because it's so massive, it literally takes up this entire tank pannier. Not ideal, so when I replace the tire, this is going to go back on the rear, and I'll take out the super heavy duty and put that inside there because it's a much smaller, more compact. This center tank pannier here, it's got a throttle rocker, toilet paper, you always need toilet paper, and a Ziploc bag, and I also have a spare Ziploc bag. Always a good idea to have one Ziploc bag or more as a spare. In the pocket, I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but there's 2 zips, there's 2 pockets here. So in the pocket furthest from the tank, I've got hand sanitizer, a side stand pad for using when the ground is soft, put the side stand onto, tire pressure gauge, GoPros for the throttle, and some spare earplugs. And then over in the left tank pannier, I've got the spare front tube. I should have said that's the rear over there only. This is the spare, also in a Ziploc bag. I've got a trowel for digging cat hole should I need to, which I have a kind of a homemade depth gauge for going through water crossings, which we didn't need. I've got an Omnipod tripod, and sunblock and Leuco tape. So the sunblock we didn't need this time around, but for doing the Trans-America Trail, because I wear an open face helmet, or sorry, an open face helmet, a helmet without a visor I should say, and this part of my cheeks here is exposed and I was getting sunburned, so I brought sunblock with me for that. Didn't need it for this trip because it's, as I speak, it's the middle of October 2020, and the weather when we were doing the MA BDR didn't warrant doing that, or didn't warrant sunblock for during the day. But out in the deserts of Utah and Nevada in the summer you do need it. So then what I was wearing, which I have just off camera, I thought about putting it on camera but it'd be just a bit too cumbersome and it'd break the flow I think of the video if it hasn't already been broken. So I've got a Climb Badlands Pro jacket. So inside that I've got emergency cash in it. There's a secret pocket and it's got a medical ID in the sleeve pocket there. I was also wearing Climb Badlands Pro pants. I wore padded bicycle shorts, excuse me here while I scratch my leg, on the way down. So we rode from Indianapolis to Damascus, which is the southern terminus or the start of the MA BDR. So it's about 450 miles, which is a long stint to be riding on this bike. So I had those bicycle shorts. They're kind of mesh shorts with pads in them, and they were super. I will use them again on future trips. I wear darn tough socks. I've got City Crossfire 2 boots. I wear merino wool long johns, really thin, and merino wool long sleeve t-shirt. Would highly recommend those. They don't smell and super comfortable, and keep you cool or warm, whichever. I have Alpine Stars GP gloves, not Juice Sport gloves. I come from a sports bike and touring and track day background, and I've gotten used to wearing heavily armoured gloves, so that's what I like. So I've got a fairly new pair of those. Stanley pink and yellow earplugs, have to have the earplugs. I've got a thin polyester balaclava that I used to try and tame this little fella here. I've got a Fox helmet and Scott goggles with the quick strap, so Velcro reattaches to the side of the helmet. It's very handy. I've got a Pro Shot, a GoPro chin bar mount, and I now have an Artman case and GoPro mic adapter, which I will say the GoPro mic adapter did not do what I wanted it to do when I tested it previously, but during the trip it seemed to work for the first video of the day, where you could hear audio from my mic that I had wired through in the helmet, but by the time the second video all you were getting was electronic noise, which is frustrating. So I ended up actually not connecting the mic and was just using the internal mic with the GoPro. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I had a 30K, and I was also supposed to wear a YEGS ID bracelet with some medical ID, but that has disappeared. And this is my normal wedding ring. I've got a Qualo plastic wedding ring. Then in the rear pocket of the Climb Badlands Pro jacket, I've got some Climb Gore-Tex socks, because the City Crossfire 2s are not waterproof, and the boots leak very, very quickly. I wore those for a few days ultimately. I've got a purple bandana that I use as a rag. I've got a spare and polyester balaclava to change and wash, because the first one gets stinky after a day or two. And I also have a buff, cycling buff, which I ended up using as it got colder. So I have the polyester balaclava and the buff on my neck to keep me a little bit warmer. Then I've got on the jacket there's a breast pocket and an outer breast pocket. So in the outer breast pocket I've got 6 pairs of earplugs. I've got a container with some medication that I have to use for my intestinal troubles. I had a folding knife, locking folding knife, and a big mini lighter. And then in the other jacket pocket, outer pocket, breast pocket, I have a bear alarm in a Ziploc bag, which is actually a rape alarm. It's got a string and you put it, and it makes an incredibly loud noise and should scare the bears away. Have not needed to use it ever. Outer lower left jacket pocket, I keep a spare key for the ram mount here that I lock onto the bike, and there's a Torx key that also opens up the actual hard mount here. And then I've got a little Leatherman style CS that's got a little tiny pair of scissors on it, which always comes in handy, and actually use it on this trip also. In the inside pocket of the jacket, I've got a very small little orange and black fabric wallet, much smaller than my normal leather one I should say. So I keep inside there cash, driving license, insurance, registration, 2 credit cards, my health insurance card, and my AMA card should we need to get towed, or should I need to get towed. Then I was also wearing a Mammoth hydration pack, which is a lovely bright blue, so it stands out quite a bit when it's on my back. And inside I've got my DeLorme InReach. I used to have the DeLorme up on the shoulder, tethered to the shoulder strap, which just got covered in bugs, splattered. So I keep it low inside the upper outer pocket. I've got a selfie stick with a Joby phone holder, which I used just to start the trip to get a picture of myself and Mike at the start of at the border between Virginia and Tennessee. I've also got a remote control for my camera, which I didn't need to bring that again, because I can use my phone now for that. Got that in a Ziploc bag with a moleskin notebook that I used to make my notes on the road. Mechanical pencil, I used that to write in my notebook. I also have a spare key for the bike. I strongly recommend you bring a spare key for your bike. I had one moment when we were outside a restaurant and I couldn't find my key, and I searched for probably 15 minutes. And ultimately because the Climb has a pocket and a leg vent, and instead of putting the key in the pocket, I put it in the leg vent. So I felt around above, and it was actually in the armour just above my knee. So I thought if I couldn't find the key, at least I had my spare key. So I have a grey hat that I wear that's also in that top upper pocket of the Mammoth, and a bottle of visor wash to clean off the bugs and dirt, and they goggles get pretty filthy. In the inner pocket then I've got a Canon SX 740HS in a Ziploc bag, which is what I'm recording this video on, the 2-litre bladder. And inside 2 mesh pouches on the outside I keep my prescription sunglasses and my prescription glasses in plastic cases with clean cloths, and they both actually kept the dust out, which is good. Okay, outer right, Molly pouch, on a Ziploc bag. I mentioned earlier the Anker 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank and the cables associated with that. So the Senna 30K won't last a whole day of riding, so at lunchtime I'd have to charge it, or we would have to charge ours. That's what kept in here, is really handy, and I'd also sometimes charge the GoPro. The very top of the bag here I've got some Fox gloves that I wear with waterproof gloves when it does rain. I did use those this time around. There's also in here is the bear spray tethered with a carabiner onto the strap here. I don't have it hidden here at the moment. And then on the back there I've got a 2-litre water bag, a brand called Evernew. I've had a couple of platypus ones and both have leaked. I repaired one and it's leaked again, so I couldn't buy any more of those. May just have been bad luck. Over on this side I've got a thing called a moto winch that will lift the bike. You could look it up on YouTube. Wonderful device. It's a little bit heavy, but I can't pick this bike up due to some abdominal surgery I've had in the past. So that's what's up there, and it's on the outside there, so I can easily get it regardless of which way the bike had fallen. This is if I was on my own. I of course was not traveling on this trip on my own. Switching back, I've actually mixed the order up here. I've got a Gatorade bottle. That's what this pouch is for, is a Gatorade. So also a function of my intestinal troubles is I have to keep hydrated and full of electrolytes, more so than a person with a full intestinal tract would say. And I also have a couple of trash bags inside the rubbish bags, and a mosquito head net in a Ziploc bag. Didn't need that to strip around. We were actually pretty lucky with the bugs, but it's tiny. It's so light it doesn't take up any space. Left over here. This trip I brought some Keen sandals. They're bulky, they're kind of heavy, but they're did a better job than the Sonic sandals I had the last time on the Transamerica Trail. Then back here you'll see the Mosko Moto 10-pole bag. I had 10 poles, 10 pegs, and my homemade crutch stand, bike stand inside there. I have to say I was not impressed with the closure on this at all. It was very fiddly, and you can't see it on the other side. I think they've since redesigned it. Yeah, it needed a redesign. Okay, then up top here we've got the Stinger 22, which in imperial measurements is 11 pounds. Actually all the dry bags were 11 pounds each. I tried to keep them all evenly weighted. So I've got a headlamp, bicycle light, a tiny bicycle light that I use on the top of the tent. I usually put that on red for when I have to get up during the night and when I'm about to go to sleep, so red light's easier on the eyes. I've got a mini pump to inflate my sleeping mat. This time around I used a thermarest mat. Our value I think is something like 7 on that thing. It was very, very good. I've got an REI 25-degree down sleeping bag, an inflatable pillow, down booties. My feet get cold, the down booties are great. I've got a Helinox Chair 1 super device, a bit bulky. They've since made smaller versions of it, but we used it several times. It's great. I've got a Sol Bivy, which I used a couple of nights when it got down to the low 30s or 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. pretty chilly, and my sleeping bag, I sleep cold, so I needed that to put on outside my sleeping bag. I've got a Phillip Island racetrack in Australia beanie, wore that when I was sleeping, and other times also when it was chilly. And then I've got some toiletries up there as well. I also have a PackSafe cable lock. I ended up not using it on this trip, but I've used it on previous road trips on my road bike, where I can lock my jacket and helmet onto the bike with a big long cable and walk away and not worry about them getting taken. The left dry bag over here, I'm not going to flip the bike around for the video, I'll just keep going. I've got my tools in a Mosko Moto tool pouch. I've the name for which is a fatty tool roll, wonderful device, expensive but very well done. Inside a little green dry bag, I've got 2 ex officio briefs, 2 pairs of darn tough socks, shorts for sleeping, a wicking top for sleeping that I could always use as backup for riding. I didn't use it this time around, so we ended up using the laundry one night. Inside another yellow small dry bag, cool Renegade convertible pants, 3/6 another pair of merino wool long johns and merino wool top, and I also have a Columbia shirt for wearing off the bike in the evenings. Okay, I also have a couple of camping towels, a big one for like a bath towel, and a little guy, not much bigger than this paper, for dry my hands in here, which is dead handy. It's a tiny little thing about this big in the pouch. Bug repellent, little small can of bug repellent. Didn't need that this trip, but when you need it, you need it. And then all in a little Ziploc bag that's got a little elastic band around. I've got a Sawyer dirty water bag, Sawyer squeeze, and an adapter for back flushing. There was one campsite where the water was shut off and there was no water available, and I thought we actually might have to filter water, so I'm glad I had that with me. In the right dry bag, this guy over here, my tent, which is an REI half dome 2+, kind of big, but I can put everything inside the tent with me, which is nice, except for my boots. I leave those outside, especially when the weather's bad. That's really nice. I've got a GSI cup inside there, an insulated cup, long-handled spoon, and seeds and fork, both in a Ziploc bag. And then inside some scent-proof bags in the very bottom. Got coffee mix, freeze-dried food, oatmeal, some sun-kissed drink mix sachets, which I used all of. Coffee mix, I almost used all of. We actually ended up eating at the campsite for breakfast and dinner more often than I thought. We ended up using up basically everything in the way of food that we had with us. I also have a Dyneema bear bag with a rock bag. I ended up not using that, but there was one spot where we could have used it. I've got a Fossils collapsible plate, and then inside the harness, which I don't have at the moment, I give it back to Mike, is the Baja no pinch tool. And I also run a cable lock here, which we did use the one night we stayed in the hotel when it was pouring rain all day long. Inside there also is a toiletries bag, pocket bellows for the campfire. Look that up if you want to. That's a great little device. A little medical kit, toothpaste, toothbrush, nail clippers, comb, hand cream. Hands always get very dry, put in some hand cream. In the beaver tail up here, I don't know if you can actually see it at the moment. I actually wanted to it's really dirty because my mudguard is too short. Got my first aid kit back up here. I won't go into that, it's a separate video really. And then in the beaver tail back in here, I've got some hand warmers, which I did use one morning, and I could use 2 mornings because my hands get so cold after taking the tent down, especially when touching the tent poles. Where am I? Sorry, lost my train of thought there. I should mention here that I don't have the stove with me. There's a couple of things we share. My general riding partner Mike has a jet boiled stove. He also brings a tarp, which we've used in the past, and a Z-drag should we get the bikes really badly stuck downhill or something. And I do believe that is the end of my list. So I hope you found that instructional, I hope you found that useful, I hope you could hear me. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe or consider doing so. Thank you.